Sling TV has something for everyone. It really just depends on what kind of mood you're in. But no matter what you're looking for, you can watch it with Sling. Sports, news, or today's hottest shows. Plus, you can explore thousands of movies and shows on demand. And getting Sling is easy. Sign up and start watching in just 5 minutes, stream on any device, and record up to 50 hours with included DVR space. Plus, you won't get locked into a long-term contract. Check out sling.com for special offers. Sling, the TV you love for a price you'll love. Try it today. Welcome to the Andy Staples Show presented by Sling. Nicole's here. Ari's here. That means it's time to pick some games. But first, we got to talk about a story that Nicole wrote this week. And the last episode, you heard Ari and I bickering like little kids about the 12-team college football playoff. We've found something we agree upon. Nicole, please tell us about this column that really it warmed the cockles of my heart to read this.
Well, I'm glad it's bringing you guys together. It is the olive branch between you, because there's not really a good argument against not having more games on campus. So Andy, we've talked about this. We understand that with the new college football playoff, there's essentially two different things that they're looking at. One is 2024, 2025 with the existing contracts. That's when people talk about breaking bowl contracts, the Rose Bowl, all of these issues. And then there's an entirely new contract that they're, starting from scratch on for 2026 onward. And that's where I think there's some opportunity to look at what they're doing, where they're playing the games, and say, is this going to make a lot of sense? And right now, the way that it's set up, as we all know, is home games for seeds 5 through 8 and 1 through 4 get a bye. So theoretically, if Georgia continues to win the SEC year in and year out, they are never going to get to host a game in Athens, which doesn't make very much sense.
No, it's not really a reward.
It's really not. I mean, people will take the bye, but if you just add one more round of campus games in the quarterfinal round, it solves those problems. Plus, it's one of those things, and you guys agree with this. I mean, we've just watched some incredible games. Like, we're literally coming off of an incredible atmosphere at Sanford Stadium for Tennessee, Georgia. The games are just better. That's the magic of college football, when you have that atmosphere and a meaningful game. So I can easily see us getting to a point here where we see how it is. We see the first round games. We know they're awesome. We're like, a little bit of a head scratcher that Georgia doesn't get to host these. And shouldn't we have more? Let's just skip that step. We know how that's going to go. And so the column was to make that case. And Joe Castiglione, Oklahoma's athletic director, and Graham Neff, Clemson, both went on the record making the case for this, and for the fact that otherwise you're asking fans to travel 3 consecutive trips in a row to neutral sites. And, Joe Castiglione said, I just think it will be epic to have the first round and quarterfinal games on the campuses. And he's right. It would be. These would be the memorable games, the reason we love the sport. And he also said it would be fan friendly, and Graham Neff and he both went into this in the story. But again, so 3 consecutive trips plus a conference championship game in some years for some of these teams. So that's a lot of money. That's a lot of travel. It's just a lot to ask for. There will be fatigue. If you're a team that regularly is making the playoff, I don't see why would your fans go to a quarterfinal game?
No,
why
they
would
wouldn't.
you travel? Why would you spend the money?
Well, and you can make the basketball comparison, but let's break down the numbers. Like, let's say you have a team that is really good and is going to make the Final Four in basketball. You may travel to the conference tournament, but you may not, because you've got 3 weekends. But that first weekend in the NCAA tournament, you have 8 teams at one site in generally like a 16,000 seat arena. So you've only got to bring 2,000 fans. And then the second weekend, there's 4 teams at a site, usually in about a 20,000 seat arena. So you got to bring 5,000 fans. Now you got to bring a quarter of a football stadium the third time. But in the football playoff, you got to bring half a football stadium 3 times. Like, that is so many people. It's like 35,000 people each time.
I don't think there's a single human being on the face of the earth that's going to sit here and say it wouldn't be better or more fun to have it on campus. Like, it's so abundantly clear that, these college communities would also benefit from it too, in a huge way. And it's just better football. It's better atmospheres, and it's a better advantage. And if you want to talk about, in our argument about the consequences of losing a home game or whatever, then actually up the stakes as much as you can to make those stakes come back.
Mm-hmm.
That I'm
agreed.
So the thing that I think is interesting is that a team like Georgia, who will be, with the way that they're recruiting and the way that they're coached, in the top 4 probably, or the top 5 every single year moving forward, the only time that team, as it's currently constructed, will ever host a game is on their down years where they make it anyway. It's like if they lose three times one year because their quarterback got injured or something happened and they still make it, because there's no way they'll never not make it now. That's the only way that you'll ever get to watch your team play.
Right.
So I guess the reward of being bad for the fans is that they get to see a playoff game at home.
It's very backwards, and that's why, again, like we talk about, okay, what are there different things to play for the regular season down the stretch? Adding that element and making that a reward for those top 4 teams makes a lot of sense. And, you know, Ari, you mentioned the local community aspect and the local businesses. You know, Audrey Snyder talked to the Happy Valley, the Happy Valley Adventure Bureau. And they said that a home
What a
game
great name
Penn
for a
State,
chamber of commerce.
Wow. It's so good. It's so good.
What's happening in Happy Valley? I mean, yeah.
Yeah, an adventure. But they told Audrey that the impact of a home game at Penn State on the local state college community is roughly $12 million. Like, that is a massive number. And you're also
not
looking
just on
at
hotels there.
Well, that's true. They need to build more hotels. This could be an even bigger number, but they do price gouge. But
$1,400 for a Fairfield in that city.
I think because there's only one. But like also another element of this for these athletic directors who understandably are thinking about these issues about fan travel and all these things, is like, if season ticket holders had access to playoff games as part of the season ticket package,
this is what the ADs really want.
This is what they want. They want to make people buy season tickets. And it's part of the reason, like, we're seeing it shift in some of the home and homes that we're seeing scheduled with the Floridas and the Georgias and the Alabama and Ohio State, because like, it's so easy to watch games at home. So all of these things are factors. And to Ari's point, the only people who really want these games to be played at neutral sites are people who work for the bowls and traditionalists. So the point of the column, and I think the point of some of these athletic directors going on the record, is there's plenty of time to solve this problem by 2026. So please do.
Exactly.
Are there traditionalists that care about the middle tier bowls? Like, who are we trying to save here?
There are some people who think they do. Most of the people who agree with you on the 12-team playoff, Ari, they're just people who generally fear change.
Don't fire me up again, bro. I'll snap back.
Yeah, they just
no, we're not doing that today.
Yeah, we're not. We don't have time. We got to pick games. But they don't want. See, Ari's got an alarm to argue with me. They don't.
Is that what you have for your phone? Like a phone call?
No, this is my
that's an alarm
to make sure that I didn't sleep through the podcast this morning. Yeah.
Congratulations, you didn't.
Well,
and I hit snooze
kind of
twice.
A late alarm.
Yeah,
I was going to say, I don't think that would have solved.
Shut it up. Yeah, I'm sorry, guys.
I was going to say today was a sleep. Like, normally my alarm 6:20 a.m. every day because you got to get the kids to school. We're getting hit by a tropical storm right now, so they don't have school. So I got to sleep in today. But
I just wish I could sleep in one time.
You know the name of
nope.
The name of this tropical storm.
Nicole.
It's Nicole. I know.
Yeah.
I'm really not happy about it. I usually get excited when there's things in pop culture that are named after me.
What's the system for how they name these again? Isn't there like a rhyme or reason for it?
I don't think you can repeat if one of them's been really bad. Like the one named after me, Andrew, was awful. Obviously, there was an Andrew before that. There was like a tropical storm Andrew years before that. But then, obviously, in 1990,
why are we humanizing these things? I don't understand.
I don't know. I guess it makes it easier. I've gotten tired of like as someone who lives in Florida, like I get really tired of the disaster porn on the Weather Channel. Like, my feelings on Jim Cantori have changed over the years. Like I'm not down with it anymore.
I don't know. Like, we talked with Ralph Russo about the weather. I do feel like there is a lot of sensationalism as it pertains to the weather. In every
100%. Like I'm looking like I go to the Weather Channel app this morning just to see, okay, how much longer is it going to rain? Where are we in the storm right now on the radar? And it's Nicole batters Florida, deadly winds, and yes, it's dangerous. Yes, you should be careful. People who live in Florida understand that, but it's not nearly as bad as they're trying to make it sound.
And the problem is that when there actually is another Katrina or one that's actually legitimately doing those things, we're so accustomed to reading these dramatic words and the disasters that we're less likely to take it seriously when actually you're in big danger. So, I don't know, the whole everything with the weather is, whenever I lived in the Midwest, is the snow is going to shut down the power grid, and it's like come on.
See, I was going to say the one thing that's helpful about living in the Midwest, and that is no one freaks out because
they're used to everything.
Yeah,
well, and that's the thing. We're used to the tropical cyclones. We're used to them. We understand, like, if there's one that's going to make landfall as a Category 1, you worry if you are in the immediate path on the coast. Everybody else is like, okay, we're going to be fine. If there's one that's coming in as a Category 4, everybody worries and everybody gets the hell out. And you just get used to it. But and that's weather with the Andy Staples Show. But
2 years ago, it snowed like it would just on a regular day in Chicago here, and the entire city shut down for a week.
Oh yeah,
it was unbelievable.
Atlanta had that too, and a few years ago, where they what do they call it, Hawthlanta? So now I'm going to turn this back to gambling, of course, because Brent Musburger, when he was on the NFL Today on CBS, do you know the reason he came?
So what are you doing today?
I don't know.
This is live?
Yep, apparently we're live. Okay, do you want to give a traffic report while we wait for Andy to come back?
No, I just took myself out. I don't know what's going on.
It's raining outside, by the way. I'm nervous. Okay, go ahead.
But there's traffic in Chicago. They're always
there. Yeah. Nick Terry wants a traffic report. We're going to go live to the chopper. We're going to put Chris Vanini in traffic copter 1. No. Do you know the reason that Brent Musburger said you are looking live on the NFL Today when they showed the shot of warm-ups at the Meadowlands? It was so gamblers would know what the weather was and would know if weather was going to affect the game.
Yeah, I mean, he's always been on the dark side with that one. So I'm happy. And by the dark side, I mean the glorious side.
Exactly. All right, let's get to the picks. We have what to watch for presented by Sling. This one's at noon on ESPN. It is my Admiral Akbar special. That's right. It's a trap. Ari has no idea what that reference means. Admiral Akbar.
It's a Star Wars thing, though, because I know that I use
he's
it.
He's the one who looks like a squid. His species is called Mon Calamari. I actually think his planet is called Mon Calamari. And he's the one who says, it's a trap. And
I see it all the time on gambling Twitter.
Yes, this is a trap. LSU, three-point favorite at Arkansas. Wait, aren't you guys saying that LSU is going to make the playoff? Why are they only a field goal favorite against a team that just lost to Liberty at home? Because it's a trap.
So are you rolling Arkansas here?
No, I think LSU wins, but I think Vegas thinks it's a trap for sure.
Yeah, I think that it's kind of one of those things where when I see a line like this, like the temptation is to just go all in and just like, you know what, there's no way that LSU isn't at least a field goal better than Arkansas. But then it feels super weird to me because you would think that the line would be 7 or something like that. And then I realized that, hey, this could be, like you said, a trap. So I like to watch the game live. It's like one of those games too, where LSU is going to have a bunch of offsides penalties and a punter is going to muff a punt. And it's like, I don't know how Vegas predicts it, but LSU, y'all think that LSU can beat Georgia. I think that LSU has to worry about beating Arkansas first because there's an absolute real life potential that they could lose this football game based on what the line is telling us. And I say this to Andy all the time. I said it to him before the Notre Dame Clemson game last week. I said, "Hey, I look at this. This is Vegas telling you what's going to happen before it happens." And sure enough, it happened. So I would not take this game with my own personal money. But I'm going to have to pick LSU just because it's kind of like one of those things at a poker table where you're playing, you've got a really good hand, and somebody raises you, and sometimes you just call them demanding to see what they have.
Yeah, I think so as well. But this kind of reminds me of, was it just last week where K-State was coming off of that 48-0 win over Oklahoma State
against Texas,
and they were dogs, and everyone was like, well, that doesn't make much sense. And like, this is obviously we should go with K-State. And I picked Texas in that game because, it just feels like in college sports, and you talk to any coach and they'll talk about it, but the volatility of having 18 to 23-year-olds go week in and week out, and the highs and the lows and everything that might affect the way a team plays is pretty great. So I'm going to take LSU in this, but I do think the idea of a letdown, a trap game, all of those things are very real, especially after we've been patting LSU on the back.
Right. You've got a youngish team that is kind of still learning its way, that just had the biggest win of the season, going to play a goodish team that just lost the game it shouldn't have to an opponent that it shouldn't have even come close to losing to.
Well, and we got this question in the live chat as we're doing this live YouTube show. And the question is, like, can LSU beat Georgia? I mean, this is part of the problem, right? Like, you can easily now look forward and say, like, there is a path to LSU making the playoff. Like, all of that has changed in the last week. And so it's very easy to say, oh, you get caught looking ahead.
Also, LSU can't lose, because if they lose this game and Ole Miss were to beat Alabama and win out the rest of the way, Ole Miss would be the SEC West champ. Now, Alabama's lost 2 SEC games, so LSU can have 2 SEC losses and still win the West, as long as Alabama beats Ole Miss.
If LSU loses this game on Saturday, it's just going to be like Alabama is a cockroach that just will not die, because it's basically opening up the door for Alabama to sneak back into the SEC championship game, because they would only need LSU to lose one more time after this. And like, you're looking at their schedule, and it's just like they're not supposed to lose any of the games that they have remaining. If they lose this first one, it's like Alabama is just one win and an LSU loss.
Okay,
I don't think LSU is going to beat Georgia, but I'm really feeling good about LSU against Texas A&M. If we're going to really look ahead, I'm okay with that.
I mean, what if Texas A&M gets healthy, the flu passes, Connor Wegman has the game? I mean, like, it's not like they're playing Vandy. Like, they're playing a team that they could theoretically lose to.
Yeah, I'm never going to back A&M the rest of the season at this point.
No, there's no reason to back them. But
I think
if LSU loses to Arkansas, you don't think there's like this creeping emotion in the back of college football's head saying, hey, is Alabama going to sneak their way back into Atlanta now?
This is why I've been saying I think we're headed towards a playoff without Alabama and Clemson. But you have to be careful.
They won't die.
They never die.
What is dead may never die? Oh,
because honestly, like, if Alabama wins,
that's the Ironborn in Game of Thrones.
If Alabama wins the SEC this year, they're going to the playoff. I got news for you. So the only way to keep them out of the Jordan, because if they get to Atlanta somehow, I'm picking them to beat them.
Okay, let's not. We are jumping way too far ahead.
We are
stop.
We're talking about a trap.
I know.
It's a trap.
I know. It's a trap. It's a trap. It's a trap.
I love how this is just letting me go all sci-fi fantasy and drive Ari crazy, because I've now made Star Wars references, Game of Thrones references.
But they're going over his head.
Nicole?
No, not Star Wars. But Game of Thrones I watched.
Do you like comic book movies?
Yeah, so I did a full-on MCU watch last year. I'd only watched a couple of
the Marvel Comics universe.
You didn't know what the MCU was?
No,
oh my god.
I'm sorry.
But yeah, so then I watched them all in timeline order. So now, I'm in.
You liked them? You were enjoying it?
Yeah, I did.
It's weird.
Well, you're going to have to watch Avengers Endgame, so I'm excited for that.
For who? Who's watching Avengers Endgame?
That's one of our bets. You're going to lose one at some point.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, just give me the spicy chip, okay? I'll deal with it.
I'm actually trying to look up the Auburn A&M line on betmgm.com right now, but I was distracted because they also have a tab called Gaelic Sports, which has a Viking hat as its icon. And now I'm just looking at what Gaelic Sports are. I don't understand any of these words.
Is there a tug of war on there or something?
Should we do that next week? Should that be in next Friday's picks?
I think that's an off-season pick show. We'll go Gaelic Sports.
I would absolutely gamble on that, by the way.
We don't. To quote Bill Hancock,
would you imagine watching
a bunch of?
Would you watch, like, if they had Vikings doing tug of war on television?
Yes.
And they showed them like their 1 body types and stuff. You wouldn't bet on that and watch that? That would be so much fun.
Bet on that. I wouldn't bet on it.
Oh, it would make it so much more fun to watch. The spread is Texas A&M plus 1.5, Andy.
Okay, yeah, Auburn by 1 million after the first Cadillac Williams interview. I have no idea who was going to win that game. I just, if you watched Cadillac Williams in that first game against Mississippi State, where they almost came back, whoa! All right, these lines, by the way, all presented by our friends at BetMGM. Let's go to the most interesting line of the week, I think. This is the College Game Day game. TCU in Austin at Texas. TCU is a 7-point dog to the Horns. Ari is hooking them as we speak.
Wow.
I think this is the end of the road, guys.
You think so?
Don't say that.
I'm sorry. I hate to be the party pooper. I called the end of the road for Kansas.
You did.
I think this is the end of the road. It is so appropriate too that they make it to the top 4, then they have to play Texas the following week on the road with Gary Patterson walking around there with an extra strut in his step, like George Bush after he won the election. You know, that walking forward, step where he's going to lean into it.
The Vince McMahon coming out of the tunnel?
Yeah, it's kind of like that. Yeah. I don't know.
It's a little different, but yes, there's a lean.
I don't watch wrestling either. I'm sorry.
I know what you're talking. It's a meme.
Of George Bush walking?
No. Okay.
Vince McMahon walking.
Oh, yeah, I've seen that. Yeah.
In an ill-fitting suit,
yeah.
Yes.
That's what I do in mall food courts.
Sorry.
I will take all your honey chicken samples, please.
Oh, my God.
I just think that this team has been excellent all year. I think that going undefeated is a very hard thing to do. I think when you're going on the road playing a team as talented as Texas, coming off of a big win against a really good team, like I just, especially if Texas thrives in situations where there's no stakes for them. Well, I guess there are stakes. They're trying to get into the Big 12 championship still, right?
They're still alive for that, yes.
So, I think that Texas is probably going to, I don't know if they're 100% if I felt comfortable about Texas covering, but I think they're going to win the football game this weekend.
Yeah, I am, I've decided out of principle, I'm not going to pick against TCU because I want like this. I felt this way about Kansas. There's just certain teams. I'm just going to ride it out until there's a loss, until the thing comes crashing down, which Ari thinks is going to happen this week. But you're right that it would be poetic that you break through, you get to the top 4, and then it's Texas of all brand name teams.
Right, because TCU dominated Texas when Texas was lost in the woods. And maybe Texas is still lost in the woods. We're going to find out. But I am going to take TCU because the personalities of these two teams jive together in a way that favors TCU. TCU falls behind and comes back. Texas takes leads and gives them away. Exactly. So I'm going to take TCU to win this game. Well, I feel good. You're giving me a whole touchdown. I feel very good about taking TCU in this game. So we shall see how that goes. When we come back, though, we have to go out west because the slog, the gauntlet for Oregon begins this week. We'll talk about it when we come back. Sling TV has something for everyone. All your favorite shows on all your favorite channels, all right at your fingertips. What you want to watch is up to you. It really just depends on what kind of mood you're in. If you're looking for sports, Sling's got you covered with pro and college football and basketball, baseball, hockey, soccer, golf, racing, and so much more. Sling also has reality TV, so you can keep up with the latest gossip with today's hottest shows on channels like TLC, Bravo, MTV, and more. And don't forget about news. Get up to date with today's most trusted sources like MSNBC, CNN, and Fox News. Feeling adventurous? Explore thousands of movies and shows on demand. So what kind of mood are you in? No matter the answer, Sling has what you need. And getting Sling is easy. Sign up and start watching in just 5 minutes. You can stream on any device and record up to 50 hours with your included DVR space. And the best part is you can pause or customize your subscription at any time. Check out sling.com for special offers. Sling, the TV you love for a price you'll love. Try it today. If you've been listening to the show for a while, you've heard me talk about Roback. You know I was wearing my green Roback Performance hoodie when I caught a pass during the Alabama-Texas A&M game at Bryant-Denny Stadium because Roback makes you elite. I mean, it has to be that. That has to be the reason that I made a one-handed catch in an SEC football game. But it doesn't just have to be me. It could be you too. Roback's performance polos, performance hoodies, performance joggers, everyday shorts. They are the athleisure that makes you feel like you can do anything. And by the way, it's not just stuff to wear when you're lounging around. Right now, if you're watching the video stream, I am wearing my blue herringbone Roback Performance Polo. This thing looks great anywhere. And look, you're walking around, you see somebody else rocking that dog logo, you give them a little nod. You're like, oh yeah, you, sir or madam, are also elite. So go to rowback.com for a generous 20% off for all new customers through the end of this week using the code Andy. That's RHOBACK.com with the code Andy, 20% off polos, Q-zips, hoodies, shorts, you name it. Rowback.com, RHOBACK.com, and the code is Andy. Let's head out west. Washington headed to Autzen Stadium. This is a really critical stretch for Oregon. It is hard. If you read my blind resume Heisman column that appeared on The Athletic on Thursday, you'll read some interesting stuff about Bo Nix and what he's already done. But he's about to be tested. Washington this week, Utah next week, a very good Oregon State team the following week, and then, if all goes well, another good team in the Pac-12 championship game. But first things first, the Ducks have to deal with the Huskies. Washington is a 13.5-point dog in a rivalry game. How do we feel about this, guys?
Yeah, it feels like a lot of points. And I get it because, Washington has been very one-dimensional or very good or very bad in games. So I understand all of that. Oregon's averaged over 40 points a game since week 1. They've looked like a different team. We saw the way that they beat UCLA in a very Chip Kelly-esque type of fashion of the way that they play and score. But it just feels like a lot of points. So I don't know. I'm leaning towards taking Washington. I don't think they're going to win the game. But Ari, tell me if the line surprises you.
The line kind of surprises me. I just think that for as much as we love watching Michael Penix play the game, he is prone to terrible turnovers sometimes. I mean, if you watch the game on Friday night last week, he threw a pick 6 right before halftime. The thing that really does kind of scare me about this is that Oregon's defense isn't very good right now, right? And if Penix has one of his great games or his good games, which we've seen him have, I think Washington will be able to score. Like, I still can't get that Michigan State game out of my head, watching them go up and down the field. Like, they have something there. And it is a rivalry game, so you have to assume that Washington's going to come in with their A game. And I was on a Oregon podcast on the Oregonian yesterday for 20 minutes, just talking about the Oregon column I wrote on Monday. And I'm looking at their schedule to close the year out. And
it's hard.
They're playing Washington, Utah, and Oregon State all in a row to close it out. And I don't think Oregon is going to finish the regular season or the Pac-12 regular season undefeated. I think they will lose one. I just don't know which one I would choose.
This is the same thing we've talked about with TCU and what we've talked about last week with Clemson, where we said, okay, even if they get past Notre Dame, they still would have to beat Louisville, South Carolina, and probably North Carolina, and we don't think they can do that. Oregon feels like they're in the same. I do think they can beat all these teams, but I'm with you, Ari. The cumulative effect of all of them in a row.
Well, here's another factor. So a Pac-12 team has never been undefeated in Pac-12 play in the current iteration of the league. It's really hard to do. And we've been kind of penciling in Oregon.
You know that, Nicole. That's a good start.
Yeah, well, we've been penciling Oregon in as this one-loss Pac-12 champion, right? What does that mean for the playoff? That's still asking someone to do something that they've never done since the Pac-12 has been at this size. So I think that is a fair point. This is an interesting one from Joshua Yost. Washington has not covered against a Pac-12 team this year. That's a little concerning. Here's my thing. I'm with you, Ari, on the defense. I also think that a lot of these Pac-12 teams that I very much enjoy watching, that I'm staying up until 2 a.m. to watch on Saturday nights, a lot of them have defensive issues, which could lead to a very entertaining couple final weeks of the season. So I don't know if that's going to ultimately matter, if Oregon's going to be able to outscore and to beat people the way that they have. I think I've come around on this after this stat about Washington has not covered against a Pac-12 team. I think I'm going to take Oregon in this. It's a lot of points, but I'm going to take the Ducks.
Quack.
Yeah, I think Oregon is the play here too, because it's the first of the gauntlet.
Yeah.
Like, if this was the second or third game, maybe, but like, I think that like this might be setting up for them to lose at Oregon State at the end of the year. Because Oregon State's a really good football team.
Speaking of the Pac-12, if you want to see Caleb Williams throw 7 touchdown passes, Colorado visits USC on Friday night. So you can get a taste of that before USC hits the UCLA Notre Dame gauntlet. So if you want to get an idea of what the Trojans look like. All right, guys, let us move elsewhere in the country. Let's go to the other Death Valley, Louisville at Clemson. This is the one I thought would get Clemson, but Notre Dame already got him. A little intrigue. Dabo Swinney says, you got to stop. We got to play Cade Klubnik more, but we got to stop putting him in bad spots. Does that mean they're going to start him? Does that mean he gets a couple series?
Or do you mean, are they not going to put him in when he's on his own goal line?
That's also potentially what he's talking about.
That was a terrible position to put him in, and he immediately throws a pick. So, but
are you watch your mouth? That's a 5-star quarterback you're talking about.
He threw an interception, a bad interception.
So is DJ.
But
Malik Cunningham was not a 5-star quarterback.
Here's the thing, though.
He's the better quarterback in this game.
Yeah, aren't you guys concerned about the way the quarterback situation's been going for Clemson and all of these questions? Yeah, I'm still extremely concerned about that.
Yeah, Louisville's getting a touchdown. I don't know in this one because I did not expect Drew Crazy Legs Pine to have success on the ground against Clemson, but he had a couple runs when he needed to. Are they going to be able to contain Malik Cunningham? Because my thought was, okay, a team with a D-line like this, you're not going to be able to run on him. I was wrong. Notre Dame could run on him. Louisville's gotten better and better. Like Scott Satterfield was done a quarter of the way through the season. They could go 9-3. They could also go 6-6, but they could go 9-3.
Is Louisville kind of good now? Like what are they?
Kind of good is probably accurate.
There's a lot of teams in
to BC.
I know.
That's why kind of, but like the ACC has been even more ACC than usual this year. There's a lot of teams in the middle that can beat each other, and you just don't know which team is going to show up, and they're one of them. If they play BC this week, they'd crush BC.
Right. Louisville that lost to BC and got destroyed by Syracuse is not the team that is playing now.
I think that I would not feel confident laying a touchdown against really pretty much anybody if I were betting on Clemson this year. The thing that I thought was the most concerning aspect of the whole thing of last week's game, it wasn't so much that Clemson had offensive issues because I think we knew that going into it. What was more concerning to me was that Notre Dame physically outmuscled their defensive line. And I think that that's obviously not a talent issue. That might just be a locked-in issue. And, Louisville has a really good running game, and they've got one of the most explosive quarterbacks in college football. And if this game gets into a situation where Louisville's scoring, you have to count on Clemson to continue to match those touchdowns. I don't think they can do it. I think Clemson's going to win. I don't think they're going to cover.
All right. Well, we're going to find out. When we come back, though, we'll stay in the ACC. We're going to get to our traditional Iowa total that we pick every week. But we've got a guaranteed over before we talk about that one. We'll talk about it when we come back. I have 10,000 pictures of my kids on my phone, but I have no idea how I'm going to compile all of that into an actual story for them. Artifact completely solves this problem. At the end of each year, they create a narrated video yearbook about each of my kids. Artifact sets me up with a professional interviewer to talk about my children throughout the year. I add photos whenever I want, and the whizzes at Artifact edit it all together into a video yearbook. It's easy, fun, and affordable. The grandparents absolutely love it. And you know what? One day, it's going to be an amazing gift for the kids themselves. You might remember that Artifact is a longtime sponsor of this show. They still do life stories of older family members, but now they have a product for parents like me, watching my kids grow up way too fast and wanting to hold on to those memories while they're fresh. You can sign up to try it yourself for less than $9 a month when you use my code STAPLES at checkout. So go to heyartifact.com/kids and enter the code STAPLES to get started. That's heyartifact.com/kids and enter the code STAPLES. Reserve Bar is your online source for premium and luxury spirits, wine, and champagne. And now Reserve Bar offers same-day delivery. Reserve Bar has a vast lineup of rare and hard-to-find bottles, premium brands, celebrity spirits, and limited releases that you just won't find at your local store. And no one does spirits gifting better than Reserve Bar. Looking for an elevated gift? ReserveBar.com has you covered, and you can have that gift delivered right to the door, and you can get it engraved, which is perfect for birthdays, weddings, anniversaries, you name it. If you're getting into home bartending, they've got all the barware you need at Reserve Bar. Reserve Bar also has a great feature called Cocktail Lounge. It's a treasure trove of cocktail recipes, bartending tips, and interviews with master distillers, celebrities, and more. Need something for a party tonight? ReserveBar.com offers same-day delivery straight to your door. Did you forget that birthday gift? Reserve Bar to the rescue with same-day delivery. Visit ReserveBar.com today and use the promo code Andy to save $10 off your first purchase of $75 or more on spirits, wine, or pre-made cocktails, but only when you use our special offer at ReserveBar.com with the code Andy. That's ReserveBar.com, code Andy for $10 off your purchase of $75 or more. The offer expires on December 31st, 2022. Welcome back. North Carolina at Wake Forest. We're going to get to our traditional Iowa total pick, but first we're going to pick this total, pick the over. The total is 77. Guys, these two teams have played each of the last 2 years. The total last year was 113. The total the year before was 112. This is going over. Drake May and Sam Hartman are going to have big days.
You don't even have to know what the number is, right? You just kind of
feels low now. Now that you say it that way.
Yes.
I think I read a stat somewhere going into last weekend that games that had totals of 71 or higher this year were 1 in 10 of going over.
Gonna be 2 in 10 after this one. This is gonna I don't think these two defenses are suddenly going to show up. Now, you had the situation where Louisville forced 6 Wake Forest turnovers in a quarter. I don't think that's going to happen again. I can't see North Carolina doing this.
It was also forced is a generous term for some of those because those
giveaways.
And Sam Hartman's not going to do that again. Also, North Carolina's defense has played better in a lot of situations, but this is still a defense that gave up 40 points in 1 quarter to App State. So just keep that in mind.
Oh, I can't wait for this game. This is a primetime game.
Yes.
I'm very excited about this. And this will be on the second screen. You'll have TCU Texas on the main screen.
Is that the night game too?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh wow. So, that's what I like. I like the build up.
No.
Yeah.
We're opposites on this.
Oh,
give me the big game right out of the gate. Yes, I do.
All right. Well, let's go to our traditional other total that we pick. Wisconsin and Iowa, the total is 35.5. I still want to take the under.
Okay, so
I love the under here.
This is significantly less than half of the total that we just discussed. Yes. Okay, just checking.
I mean, the North Carolina Wake game is going to be 21-0 with 10 minutes left in the first quarter, or 21-14 or whatever.
When BetMGM opens like an Andy Staples show wing of the sports book, we should have our own props. And our prop this week should be, will the Wisconsin-Iowa total be less than a third of the North Carolina-Wake Forest total?
The week before, yeah.
Yeah.
That would be a great prop.
I'm going to say go over in this. And listen, I'm just going to be – I'm going to go against lots of our narratives on this show, but maybe Iowa's figured some things out offensively the last 2 weeks. You had spicy Spencer Petras saying, no one here believed in me. And, you guys thought we were cowards. Cowards don't quit on the team. There's no cowards here. I mean,
no, we just thought you were not good at offense. And I think Wisconsin's going to prove us right again.
I'm thinking, Wisconsin surprised us a little bit since Jim Leonard's taken over too. I'm going to say we're going to go over here.
Oh, the shootout between Wisconsin and Iowa.
This would be a shootout. This is a game of field position, guys. You know how I always like to talk about special teams.
If I staked you, Andy, and I said you had to pay $1,000, or I will pay you. Wait, I'm sorry. Just keep talking. Let me think this through. It's math.
Okay.
Oh no, it's Ari Myth.
Okay, I got it.
Ari Math.
Would you pay? You stake $1,000. But you win 50 as long as the North Carolina Wake total finishes higher than the Wisconsin. Would you take that bet?
Absolutely. I'm getting $50.
You lose 1,000. You lose 1,000 if Wisconsin, Iowa go over.
No, I think you could safely take that.
Yeah, I will have. Give me my $50 right now.
It would be so funny if you had to watch, like, if you had a bet and you had to watch those side by side, and you're like rooting for Wisconsin and Iowa to.
This storm is moving that way, but it will be gone. Like we say that, and the storm would hit Winston-Salem, and it would be like the Northwestern Ohio State game last week, and there'd be no way for anybody to throw.
Yeah, and it's
no,
just
I'm not. I don't think
they'd still go even if Wake and North Carolina kept it on the ground, they'd still go over the total of the Wisconsin Iowa.
There would be missed tackles. There would be lots of things that would happen.
It's a bunch of grab ass, Nicole. You can say it. It's grab ass.
I'll let you say that.
All right, let's stay in the Big Ten. Ohio State, a 39.5-point favorite against Indiana. Remember a couple of years ago when this game was massive?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so does Ohio State get back to form? The weather should be better. It shouldn't be so extreme as it was in Evanston. Ohio State feels like they got a little bit to prove. I don't think it matters so much that they prove anything to us before the Michigan game, but I would love to see their offensive line play a little bit better in the run game.
Yeah, I would like to see them be able to run the ball with running backs when they need to run the ball. Like that would be great to see. Yeah, I do think they cover. Indiana has not been playing well over the last month and a half, and I do think they need to prove something to themselves, but also to everyone else. They've heard what everyone's been saying over the last week.
Yeah, there was a year, I think it might have been 2015. It was 2015, and the spread of the Ohio State-Indiana game was 17.5, and Ohio State was playing there on the road. I think it was in November. And I told my friend, there is no possible way that Ohio State doesn't cover this game. And he went to a sports book and put a sizable amount of money on it. And he was wrong. Or I was wrong.
Oh, no.
And it was, I think that they had like an 80-yard touchdown run in the last minute of the game to backdoor it.
Oh.
And ever since then, I have been scarred when it comes to trying to gauge Ohio State, Indiana games. This spread is massive. It could, and it's like with Ohio State every week. It's like, are they going to play grab ass for a half and then win by 28, or are they going to just come out and go Death Star mode right out of the gate? And it's like I feel like it's increasingly more difficult to decide when Ohio State's going to show up and when they're not. And I find them to be one of the more frustrating and harder teams to gamble on, to be honest.
I would like to see them go Death Star mode personally, because I'm right now I'm ready to pick Michigan when they play. But
yeah, me too.
We'll see. One more game before we go. Alabama is an 11.5-point favorite at Ole Miss. This feels about right, because I think Jahmyr Gibbs is going to have a huge game. I think Jace McClellan's going to have a huge game. And I think Alabama's defense is good enough to control the Quinshon Judkins, Zach Evans two-headed monster.
So you're picking Alabama to cover?
I am picking Alabama to cover.
I think Ole Miss is in the wrong place at the wrong time right now.
This is a bad spot for Ole Miss.
That's how I feel. First time we've seen Alabama have 2 losses this early in the season and forever. You don't want to be the game that's after that.
No. They've lost 2 games basically on the final play. We're shoveling dirt on them. We're like, yeah, Alabama dynasty's over. Yeah, they're.
I've got a prediction.
Really good. Okay, go for it.
And I'm going to make this my official prediction of the weekend.
Okay.
LSU loses to Arkansas and Alabama beats Ole Miss.
Okay. And LSU's still the SEC West champ unless they lose again.
I'm just saying we're going to have to talk about Alabama in the SEC championship game at some point next week.
Oh, boy. Well, we'll find out. If you're hearing us talk about that on Saturday night, then Ari was right. If you don't, then it was like when Ari lost his friend all that money.
But the thing, too, is you got to remember, I want to see a world kind of where Alabama fans become Aggies for a week.
No, you just want to see a world where a regular season result is meaningless, because apparently that's what you care about.
Yeah. Well, actually, they wouldn't be meaningless. It would be
the
LSU losing a regular season game that matters.
The LSU loss for Alabama would be meaningless.
But you just want to watch great football, so wouldn't you rather watch Alabama play Georgia?
I think we should wrap up the show before this devolves, Andy.
Yeah. Exactly. Let's just say in a 12-team playoff, Alabama at Ole Miss would be a winner makes the playoff, loser doesn't game. So just saying.
Yeah, actually, and I know we've been on Ole Miss all year, and I don't want to disrespect them. I really do think that their team can score. And the thing I'm very curious about more than ever before you wrap this up is, what is Alabama this year? Is this a very good team that if they turned it on is a national title caliber team, or is it just a team with deep-rooted issues that isn't the Alabama that we've become accustomed to seeing? Because I don't know which one it is.
It's a very good team that is not as explosive on offense as we're used to seeing. That's what it is. And we'll see. Maybe they prove us wrong, but that's what they are right now. We will talk to you after the games. Can't wait.